In 2010, I got introduced to hemp building, and that happened in Australia, in Tasmania. That's when they were building the first ever hempcrete home, hemp lime home in the history of Australia. And once I got familiar with the technology, I realized this is the future of at least the residential construction, at least. Yeah, I'm a civil engineer by trade, and my whole life I was involved in the construction industry. And in 2010, I got introduced to hemp building, and that happened in Australia, in Tasmania. That's when they were building the first ever hempcrete home, hemp lime home in the history of Australia. And once I got familiar with the technology, I realized this is the future of at least the residential construction. At least commercial might be a little bit more tricky, but there is a shortage of housing all around the world, in any country in the world. So when I saw how the house can be constructed using local sustainable materials, it was kind of ticked off all the boxes for me. And ever since then, since 2010, pretty much, maybe a break for a year or so, I was in the hemp construction is my life. And now I have my own company, as you're aware, and we can get into that a little bit later. I started to educate myself more and more about this fascinating material and learning about it. Started to work in Europe, in France, Switzerland, taking on the projects, and eventually I founded Hempire and in Ukraine. For the last 9 years, Hempire has been working on manufacturing materials, building hemp houses. Now we're represented in the United States, and expanding. Random people introduction. My friend introduced me to this person in Australia who was cultivating hemp, industrial hemp back there, and they were participating in the first ever construction of the hemp home in Australia. So this was all very random. Yeah.
Just knew somebody who said, "Hey, this is really interesting."
I literally met this person at the party, and yeah, when he started to talk about hemp housing, yeah, I thought we were drunk, and then he asked me if, like, hey, do you want to give a hand? And I said, yeah, of course. I was very curious because I never heard, but I never heard about anything like that, and that's what got me going. Because I'm an engineer. I'm in the construction. Like, what are you talking about? Houses of cannabis? It was just it was a very crazy thing, and I got really curious. Yeah, so basically, after that, I started to work in Europe to gain more experience, because that house in Australia we almost ruined. It was the whole thing was mixed in a truck mixer. You have to understand, the one that mixes and delivers concrete on site.
Oh, wow! Yeah,
That's how crazy that was. It was literally like 7 bags of hemp. I don't know how many liters of water. Like 10 bags of binder, and it was all very liquidous substance that we were delivering in the wheelbarrows into the formwork. We were dumping it. It was so wet, and it was just so much water. The water was dripping in between the formwork. It was just crazy. Anyways, but I didn't know at that time, but maybe that was the way to build. So as I went on, I realized this was pretty crazy, and how not to do things. And basically, when I founded Hempire after getting experience in Europe, I went back to Ukraine and I founded my own company. Of course, the first project was a difficult one to get because, first of all, it was more expensive than traditional materials. Traditional materials, architects, builders, and the clients accustomed to, right? So this was just completely out of this world. And I was running around in a folder with the photographs, and people were really we're really happy to listen to my story. But then the very first question that they had is like, where is the house? Can I see something? Can you show me an example? How does it look like? I want to touch, I want to smell it. And that was the big problem. The very first project is a big problem. But the only advice I have for people is you never stop going. Like if you have that dream, it sounds very basic and like everyone's talking about it on Instagrams and social media, but it's true. And eventually I convinced one of my friends with whom I was playing football with. I told him, listen, like this is the best thing you can ask for. And then of course he asked for a massive discount, right? And I said, okay, no problem, it's the first project. So it was just like a total failure from the financial standpoint. Like I didn't make any money, and we were going deep into the fall in Ukraine. It was like November, and we're late because the crew I was training was a bunch of young kids, and I couldn't be there the whole time. But going slowly into December, and we got really, really lucky with the weather that year. It was a very warm December, and we were able to finish the envelope on time before the frost came in. And then the water froze inside the walls. And when we were walking with the client sometime in February, he was like fascinated by how hard the walls were, and I just realized the water just froze inside the walls. And I was really worried about it. It's like as April, May comes, what's going to happen to those walls. This project made me realize how amazing and incredible this material truly is. And no cracks, it didn't fall apart. Only in one spot we had to fix it. Even when the water froze, it was still few weeks were enough for the material to get sturdy and hard.
You got a set.
Yeah, we had a set, and it was like really big frost, like minus 20 Celsius for like a week. It was really nasty, so like there was no way that water could evaporate from it. But and ever since then, that's how things got started. But it was very complex to find the first client because people just simply didn't believe in it. And that's when Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine. The war already started, so it was like the worst possible start for something like this. So if people get discouraged, they can listen to my story. That's how crazy it was. It was more expensive. The country was in war. People didn't know whether they're gonna live there tomorrow or they're gonna just go and live somewhere else in some other country. And I was just running around, kept believing in it, understanding that that's the way to go. And yeah, I mean that's it.